Give your attendance. Pritam Bose, Shantanu Barui, Shamodip Bishwas, Onnoy Chando.
Present, ma'am.
ম্যাম স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স জেনারেলের ক্লাস চলছে, সো অনেক স্টুডেন্টস ওখানে রয়েছে।
What of the class?
আর 4টে অবধি তো ছিল, এবার স্যার এক্সট্রা একটু পড়াচ্ছেন ওই জন্য।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ওরা আসুক, কি করবো তাহলে, আমার তো 4টে থেকে 5টা।
হুম।
10 মিনিটে নিশ্চয়ই ছেড়ে দেবেন স্যার। তাহলে কি করবো? ওকে, then I will take the attendance after 10 minutes. That will be better. Otherwise, I have to do it for twice. Let me start the discussion. I hope within next 10 minutes they will join. Okay. My class is recorded, na? So I will share that recording in the LMS. The portion which they are not listening, they can understand it from the LMS. So this is the new thing. In my last class, I have discussed about the subsidy in kind and subsidy in cash. If you have any problem with that, you can ask me now. As we are waiting for your friends, if you have any query from the consumer behavior who are in my class now, you can ask me.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you explain these last three graphs once more?
This one.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute. Deepak, are you in my class now? Okay, just a minute. Okay. So here what I said, if you go through this one, you can understand that CD is the budget line for subsidy in cash. Okay. And AED, this is the budget line if subsidy in kind, but the valuation should be same. That is why the one budget line is imposed on another budget line. Okay? So this is just for the comparison. This is not compulsory, but just for the comparison, just to find out the answer that which one is preferred. And this is the basic thing, that the valuation should be same. So in this diagram, this is my initial budget line. So this is my initial equilibrium. Okay. Now, if the new equilibrium is here, then this is on this solid, look at this, on the solid portion of the budget line. Now, this solid portion, this is common for the cash in subsidy in cash and subsidy in kind. Okay. So this is common. So in that case, the person who is getting that subsidy is indifferent. Okay. He is indifferent between subsidy in cash and subsidy in kind. Okay. So here he is not interested to choose that, okay, this is good, this is bad, because he is indifferent. Whatever subsidy you will give to him, he will get the equal increase in the total utility. In the second part, the new equilibrium just at the king point of the subsidy in kind budget line. Okay, but that king point is also on the budget line of the this is the common point. Okay, this is the common, that king point is also the common point for both type of subsidies. So for this type of situation also, the consumer is indifferent, as he is getting the equilibrium at the common point. The common point may be the king point, but it is common for both type of subsidies. But if the slope of his indifference curve is like that, the new equilibrium is arriving here. then this portion is not possible for subsidy in kind. If subsidy in kind is given to you, then this is the budget line. You have to be on this budget line. Okay, you cannot achieve this point. So there, that much of increase in utility is possible only when you will get subsidy in cash. So only for this diagram, yes, just a minute. Only for the third phase, only for the third diagram, there is a choice. Okay, only for the third type of situation, consumer has a choice. So here the consumer is preferring subsidy in cash, not the subsidy in kind. Only for the third type of situation. Okay, but for the first and second, there is no choice. Consumer is indifferent. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
your friends have joined? Yes, now everyone is there. Fine. So let me take the attendance. Pritam Bose,
Present, ma'am.
Shantanu Baroi, Shamodip বিশ্বাস,
Present, ma'am.
অন্নয় চন্দ,
Present, ma'am.
শতাক্ষী নন্দী,
Present, ma'am.
অনিশ দাস,
Present, ma'am.
অন্বেষা ঘোষ,
Present, ma'am.
সৌগত মণ্ডল, রিচক. রিচক may not be in our college. অভিষেক দুবে,
Present, ma'am.
আবির,
Present, ma'am.
শ্রুতি চ্যাটার্জি,
Yes, ma'am.
তৃষিতা বল্লভ, দেবার্ঘ সোম,
Present, ma'am.
অনুরূপ গুহ ঠাকুরতা,
Present, ma'am.
শুভায়ন দে, সাগ্নিক দাস,
Present, ma'am.
সৌরদীপ ধর,
Present, ma'am.
লহর গুপ্তা,
Present, ma'am.
সুতপা দত্ত,
Present, ma'am.
শিবানী সাহু,
Present, ma'am.
তৃষিতা ঘোষ,
Present, ma'am.
অঙ্কিতা হালদার,
Present, ma'am.
অঙ্কুশ রয়, দেবেশ মিশ্রা,
Present, ma'am.
অঙ্কিতা দে,
Present, ma'am.
সায়ন্তী মুখোপাধ্যায়,
Present, ma'am.
দীপশা রক্ষিত,
Present, ma'am.
চয়ন কুমার গুই,
Present, ma'am.
অনিরুদ্ধ সোম,
Present, ma'am.
নিযুক্তা মালাকার,
Present, ma'am.
সায়ন পাল,
Present, ma'am.
তনিমা
Present.
দাস, সৃজা মুখার্জি,
Present, ma'am.
সৌভিক মাহাতো,
Present, ma'am.
রত্নদীপ ঘোষাল,
Present, ma'am.
মঞ্জিরা নন্দী,
Present, ma'am.
রোহন সাহা,
Present, ma'am.
দীপক. Deepak is present. Deepak
Present,
Soren?
ma'am.
Yes. Annesha Boiragi,
Present, ma'am.
Supriyo Roy, Arijit Sinha.
Present, ma'am.
Are you Sinha or Sinha?
No, ma'am, it's Singho. Singho, it's.
Singho, acha, GHR.
हाँ. Hmm.
Priyanka Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Sneha Agarwal,
Present, ma'am.
Ankita Dev,
Present, ma'am.
Ashmita Roy,
Present, ma'am.
Shreyoshi, okay, Shreyoshi Sharkar,
Present, ma'am.
প্রদীপ্ত চক্রবর্তী,
Present, ma'am.
রোহন আগরওয়াল,
Present, ma'am.
সুখদেব বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়,
Present, ma'am.
রাজদীপ দত্ত,
Present, ma'am.
সাগ্নিক বণিক,
Present, ma'am.
অয়ন পাল,
Present, ma'am.
ফারিন ইমরান,
Present, ma'am.
সায়ন্তিকা ভৌমিক,
Present, ma'am.
অরুজ্যোতি কুণ্ডু।
Present, ma'am.
ওকে,
Excuse me, ma'am.
ইয়েস,
Ma'am, I'm Trishita Ballav. My mic was not working, so I could not say present, but I'm present, ma'am.
ও
So can you please mark
your
me
name
present?
is showing Subhash Vallabh.
No, ma'am. My name is Trishita Ballav.
Yes, yes, I understand. I think you are calling from some other mobile.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, just a
Okay, ma'am.
minute.
Thank you.
Ma'am, when you called my name, I responded, but I didn't know. Am I
What's your
audible now?
name?
Because Shruti Chatterjee, ma'am.
Shruti. If you responded, then you must be marked.
Because one of my
Shruti.
friend told me that I am not audible at the time, so I want to check.
Just a minute, just a minute. Shruti. Yes, you are marked present. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So let me present now. Attendance কত সময়? Yes. So that part I had discussed. So may I go to the next slide, or if you have any query from my today's class?
Ma'am, I have a problem.
Yes.
Ma'am, in subsidy in kind,
Hmm.
the parallel line that you have drawn to x-axis AE, that's because we have an option we take the subsidy or not.
Yes.
But any point on the line AB has an option that we take the subsidy or not.
AB.
Yeah, on the line AB, just like the point A, we have
Huh.
an option that we take the subsidy or we don't. So we have drawn a line parallel to x-axis AE. Similarly, for any point on AB, we can draw such line because we cannot take the option. We cannot. It depends on us. So the whole
No,
region
no,
should be
no,
marked.
no, 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 no. Look, look. The choice is of your choice is represented by your indifference curve. Okay, that budget line is not showing the line, the option. Budget line is showing the option, but your choice will be represented by your indifference curve. Budget line is not showing your choice. It is
Ma'am,
giving
then
you
the
the
part
option.
then the
Yes.
part A is drawn.
Hmm.
Then why not the for any other points between A and B?
No, no, no. Look, you may be here. Just a minute. Just a minute. You may be here. No issue. Why this point only? You may be here. You may be here. This is your choice. But
Yes,
the option is this. Okay. This is the maximum thing which you can achieve. This is the maximum combination of X and Y which you can achieve. Now it's your choice. You must be on AB if you want.
Acha,
Okay.
ma'am.
You
But
may be lesser than AB if you want. But the budget line is not showing your choice. Budget line
it's
is
showing the
giving you the
maximum extent.
option. The limit actually, the limit. This is the limit. You have to choose within that.
And ma'am, in subsidy in kind, the government is providing us with some type of goods or something, and in subsidy in cash, they're providing us with money. So we, in
Yes.
case of money, also we have option. We can take it or not because cash and
Yes.
things. Then the graph should be like that only. But I mean, AC, acha, that is shown on
No, the
already.
budget is CD. No, no, no. For the subsidy in cash, your option, the maximum option is CD.
Okay, ma'am,
You
I
have
got
to
it.
choose anything in between.
In between, we can choose below it, but we cannot go above it. It's
Yes,
the
yes. This is the
hierarchy.
boundary. Constraint. So it is the boundary.
Okay, ma'am, I got it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
any other question? Do you have any question? Okay. So let me proceed. This is the new thing. Another new concept. Actually, in case of the consumer behavior, we are going to discuss a lot of new concepts. So this is called the income consumption curve. We are calling it as ICC. Okay, income consumption curve. What it is? The combination of equilibrium consumption of two commodities when your income level is changing. Okay, so prices of two commodities remain constant. Only your income is changing. So as you have seen here, that when your income is changing like this, when your income is changing, the budget lines are shifting parallel. It may be upward, it may be downward, depending on the change in your income. But based on the different budget lines, you will get different equilibrium, right? Like E1 and E2 here. So you may have E3 here. So if you join all those equilibrium points, the line of the joining, this is called the ICC. So along the line, what is the property of this line? Along the line, it is the equilibrium consumption combination of two commodities when your income level is changing. Okay. Okay, so it is the equilibrium. Along the line, you always have the equilibrium consumption bundle. No disequilibrium, other than equilibrium, you will not get along the ICC. It's only the equilibrium consumption bundle. But when your income is changing. Okay. Now look at the diagram, you can understand. Look, the same diagram which I have shown you just now. This is the first equilibrium, say, and this is the second equilibrium. Okay. So your ICC is upward rising. I'm joining all those equilibrium points. You can draw another budget line. You can draw another indifference curve for the equilibrium. And similarly, you can continue that process. And once you join them, it is ICC. Now, there is no particular shape of the ICC. It is not necessary that it will be a straight line. It will be a concave curve. It will be a convex curve. No, it's not. There is no such compulsion. But if two commodities are normal, then ICC is upward rising. Why? Because when the income is increasing, you know the definition of the normal good with respect to the income elasticity. If income is increasing, the demand of those commodities also increasing, right? So here, as your ICC is upward rising, you can easily say in this diagram, X and Y, they are normal good. Okay. But it may not be true always. It may possible that Y is the inferior good. Okay. It may possible that Y is inferior good. Then but X is a normal good. It is not possible that two commodities are inferior at the same time. Okay. The two-dimensional space, it is not possible. I will actually, there is some mathematical derivation through which you can show it, but unfortunately, I don't know whether I will have the time to show you. But I will definitely try to show you. Just remind me if I can finish my syllabus within this week. Just remind me so that I can show you that mathematical relationships as well. So anyway, here what happened when the income is increasing, then the demand for X is increasing, or rather here not the demand, the consumption of X is increasing and consumption of Y is also increasing. So you can say that del X del M is greater than 0, del Y del M is also greater than 0. Okay? So income effect is positive here. But if Y is inferior, then your income ICC is downward sloping. Look, it is downward sloping. Why? When your income is increasing, you are reducing the consumption of Y, because to you, Y is an inferior good. So for Y, del Y del M is less than 0. But for X, it is positive. Now, why I am saying logically, how can I, let me try. Logically, how can you say that X and Y both cannot be inferior simultaneously? Because when you're, look, there is no option of savings, there is no option of borrowing, you know that, right? So given that if income is increasing and two commodities are bad for you, then you will reduce consumption of both X and Y, right? So your income has increased, your expenditure for X is falling, your expenditure for Y is falling. That means you must have some money in your hand because your income has increased. So, but you are not spending accordingly. So what to do with that money? You can tell me, okay, then go for savings. But there is no saving option. So as this assumption is valid, it is not possible for two commodities to be inferior simultaneously. Any of the commodity must be normal. It may possible one of these two is inferior. Okay, fine. So you are reducing consumption of that, but you have to increase consumption of another so that your increased income can be spent for it. Okay. So your problem here, look, this is for the case where y is inferior. You can make it for x inferior as well. It is not necessary that x will never be inferior. In that case, your ICC will be like this. That will be your ICC. Huh? And your indifference curve is here. Okay. That may also possible. But remember one thing, to draw this new indifference curve, what I did, they are going to intersect each other, right? Don't do that. Make it parallel somehow. But that may be your ICC, no issue. But if two commodities are inferior, look, you cannot draw your ICC. If two commodities are inferior simultaneously, you cannot draw your ICC. Okay, so that is another problem here. So any problem from the ICC, income consumption curve?
Ma'am, can you present the slide where the definition of the ICC is written?
This one. Combination of equilibrium consumption of two commodities when income level is changing. Okay. So along the ICC, all points are equilibrium points.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. But with the simple mathematics, you can also prove it that two commodities cannot be inferior simultaneously. For that, what you have to do, you have to use your budget equation. Huh? That is, M is equal to Px into X plus Py into Y. Then differentiate it with respect to M. Okay, because here your income is changing. So you have to differentiate it with respect to M. And then you can find that it is not possible for del X del M less than 0 and del Y del M less than 0 at the same time. So this is how you can prove that it is not possible. You can make a try in your home. I'm just giving you one hint. You have to use the budget equation and then differentiate it with respect to M. That is your income level. Okay. And in our case, it is C. You can differentiate it with respect to C. That means you have to differentiate with respect to the income level. That much. Okay. This is the mathematical, but as I said, economics is not so much interested about the mathematics. Economics is more interested about the logic. So once you can explain it logically, it's more accepted. Okay. So this is our income consumption curve. Now, what is the use of the income consumption curve? Look, here, what you are doing actually, you are changing your income level and you are getting the equilibrium change of the consumption. Okay. Say from here, you can find one new concept that is called, I just forgot to introduce that. So that is why I'm written here, Engel curve. Engel, E-N-G-E-L. Okay. Engel curve. Okay. So what is Engel curve? Engel curve is showing, can you understand what I have written here? Engel curve. E-N-G-E-L, Engel, C-U-R-V-E, Engel curve. Okay. So this is according to the name of the economist, Engel. It is derived by this economist. The economist is saying that if you are changing the income level, your equilibrium output is changing. So Engel curve is showing the relationship between the income level and the corresponding equilibrium consumption of any of these two commodities. Okay? So in the horizontal axis, say in the horizontal, actually it's better to draw in just below this. Here you are measuring the equilibrium consumption of X. Okay, equilibrium consumption of X, and here you are measuring income level. Okay, so look, if your income is say M1, if your income is here, say your income is M1, then consumption of X is say X1. Okay, so you can find your X1 here. So it is X1. If your income is increased to M2, so M2 is here, then your consumption of X is increased to X2. So plot this X2 here. Okay. So you can understand, as X is assumed as a normal goal, when my income, say X1, M1, X1 is here, and X2, M2 is here. Why? Because I am assuming X and Y, they are normal goods. So when income is increasing, my consumption of X is also increasing. So the relationship is positive. Okay. The relationship is positive. It's like this. So this is the general shape of the angel curve. Sometimes you may get your angel curve which is concave to x-axis. Sometimes your angel curve may be like this. That means your income is increasing, the consumption is increasing at the decreasing rate. Generally, that is happening for the agricultural commodity. That means our food item. Okay, my income is increasing doesn't mean that I have to consume proportionately. Say my income has increased by 40%. Is it possible for me to increase the consumption by 40%? Then I will be sick, right? So it is not possible. So in that case, income is increasing, the consumption of X is increasing, but not at that rate. But in case of industrial good, for example, TV, fridge, etc., etc. In that case, if income is increasing, consumption is increasing in more than that proportion. So here you may get the convex angel curve. Okay. But this is about the angel curve. So this is the importance of the income consumption curve. Income consumption curve is giving you the idea of the angel curve. Any problem from this question?
Ma'am, the income consumption curve is called the angel curve.
No. Income consumption curve is showing the equilibrium consumption combination of two commodities. And angel curve is showing the combination of equilibrium consumption of one commodity with respect to the income level. On the vertical axis, you are measuring the income. In the horizontal axis, you are measuring either X or Y, any of the commodities.
Okay. And ma'am, in which case can consumption increase more than
For the
increase in income?
industrial product.
Okay. Ma'am, that is increase in consumption.
Yes, increasing in consumption is definitely increasing because for all the situation, X is a normal good. But in case of the industrial product, your consumption is increasing at the increasing rate. Okay, that is why the line is convex. Convex to x-axis.
Ma'am, in industry, what do we consume in that case?
I've given you the example that in the electronic goods, your mobile phone, your laptop, this type of commodity.
Okay. Okay. Means when the income increases, these electronic goods
The
consumption
consumption of those
increases more
goods is increasing at the increasing
at
rate.
an increasing rate.
Yes. If your
Okay.
income is increasing by 20%, your consumption of industrial product may increase by 25%, like that.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
So this is angel curve. This diagram which I have drawn here, this is angel curve, which was from the beginning, this is the ICC, income consumption curve. your problem. Okay. So I don't think you have any problem. So I'm going to the next part, that is the price consumption curve. It is of very important. Price consumption curve, which we are calling as the PCC. Okay, price consumption curve. Look at the bullet. Read the bullet first. It is the combination of equilibrium consumption of two commodities so that price of one commodity is changing, or you can say the relative price is changing. What is relative price? Relative price means Px by Py. So if Px is changing or Py is changing, Px by Py will definitely change, right? So it's better to say that relative price is changing. The combination of equilibrium consumption of two commodities so that relative price of the commodity is changing. Tell me one thing, you are not getting the access of the class recording? Huh? Someone is asking the requesting to access it. Just a minute, wait for a minute. Okay. So this is the price consumption curve. It is the combination of equilibrium consumption of two commodities so that price, or you can say price of one commodity is changing, or you can say the relative price is changing. The thing is same. Now how it looks like. Look, here again you are consuming, you are measuring x on the horizontal axis and y on the vertical axis. Okay. Your initial equilibrium is here and the final equilibrium is here. So what you are doing, you are increasing consumption of both the commodities. So if you join them, you can get upward rising PCC. In general, you can get it. Now, why you are getting upward rising? That means why the consumption of X and Y both are increasing. Look, there is no change in price of Y. Only price of X has fallen. But because of that, you have increased the consumption of Y. Now, why it is? Just wait for next 5 minutes. Then we will explain. But that is possible. This is second. Here your PCC is parallel to the horizontal axis. That means Y consumption is not changing. This is the third option where you can see Y consumption is falling. This is the fourth option where you can see X consumption is falling. This is okay, that I have shown. And this is another option where X consumption is constant. So there are 5 such options. Okay, 5 types of PCC is possible. The first one, both are increasing. The second one, it is parallel to the horizontal axis. The third one, it is downward sloping. The fourth one, it is backward bending. And the next one is parallel to the y-axis. Okay. So these things are possible. The question is why it is happening. So here comes the answer. I will stop here for today. I will explain this portion and then I will stop because I think it's enough. In the next class, I will discuss the next part. I am not sure whether I can take tomorrow's class or not, but if possible, I want to take at least one class of the 10 to 11. I will try to take, I'm trying to take the class. I will inform you in your WhatsApp group by today evening. Okay. Now look, this is my simple budget equation, right? M bar is equal to P1x1 plus P2x2. This is our simple budget equation. Now what is P1x1? P1x1 is the total expenditure for x1 that is equal to M, that is M bar, minus P2X2. Okay. Are you agree with this equation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have this equation. Now look what happened in each of our diagram. What I assume that everything is constant, only price of X is falling. Okay, and you can understand then X consumption should increase. So here, look here. Actually, here it is X1 and X2. And sometimes people are considering X and Y commodities. Sometimes people are considering X1, X2. So here it is X1 and X2. Okay, okay, fine. As it is not written here, let me assume two commodities are X1 and X2. X1 on the horizontal axis and X2 on the vertical axis. Okay. Now look what happened. Price of X1 is falling. Okay, that is my assumption. So that means P1 is falling, very fine. And X1 should increase. Why? Because X1 is assumed as a normal good. So there is law of demand and everything. So P1 is increasing and X1 is, P1 is falling, so X1 is increasing. But we don't know what will happen with this total product. Okay. So for that, we have to go to the right hand side. In the right hand side, M is constant. My income is constant. And P2 is also constant. For the time being, P2 is also constant. Now, what about X2? That is the commodity we are measuring on the vertical axis. In the first diagram, X2 has increased, right? Right? X2 has increased. You are measuring X2 here. You are measuring X2 here and you are measuring X1 here. Okay. So from the diagram, what you have seen that P1 is falling and that is why X1 is increased and X2 has also increased. Now look at this equation. So what happened with X2? X2 has increased. Very good. So X2 is increased with P2 constant. So P2X2 that has increased. Okay. P2X2 has increased. Do you agree with me? You have to understand the logic. Is it okay to you? P2X2 is increased.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why?
Ma'am, because
Why
P2 is constant
Yes.
and X2 has increased, so P2 X2 it will
Okay.
increase.
Okay. Fine. Very good. Now, what about M minus P2X2? It will increase or decrease?
It will decrease.
Decrease, ma'am.
Decrease.
Yes, it will decrease. It will decrease because M is constant. So your right hand side is falling. Your left hand side must fall. Okay, because there is an equality. Now, what happened with your left hand side? Your price is falling and the quantity is increasing. Right? From the diagram, price is falling and the quantity is increasing. So one is increasing, another is decreasing, but the product should fall. Okay. From your left hand side, you can understand the right hand side should fall. That means the fall in P1 should be greater than increase in X1. Then only the product will fall. Na? The
Yes, ma'am.
strength of the fall should be, okay. The strength of the fall should be more than the strength of the increase. So that means the change in price is greater than change in quantity. Then change in price is greater than change in quantity. That means, what does it mean? Change in price is greater than change in quantity. So that my left hand side will fall. Now I am asking if it is that change in price is greater than change in quantity, then what is the name of that? How can I say? How can I explain it? What is the name?
Inelastic demand.
Inelastic demand.
Very good. Inelastic demand. Whose? X. X1's demand is inelastic. That is why I said that It is possible, but why it is, you have to wait for some time. So when the price of X is falling, X and Y consumption is increasing. When the demand for X is inelastic. Okay, demand for X1 is inelastic. Then only consumption of X2 will increase. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now look at the second part. Here what happened? Consumption of X2 is constant. Right? It is unchanged. That means M is constant, P2 is constant, X2 is also constant from the second diagram. That means my left hand side is constant. So my right hand side should be constant. So fall in price should be equal to increase in X. The change in price is equal to change in quantity. That means for X1, the demand is unit elastic. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here your demand is unit elastic. You can write elasticity of demand as small e. You can write elasticity of demand as small e subscript d. Anything is okay. Okay. Now what about the next one? X consumption is falling. Now tell me, now it's your turn. Tell me. If this is the diagram, if this is the diagram, that means Px is increasing or P1 is increasing and X2 is falling. Then what will happen? Tell me, what is the elasticity of X1? X2 is
Ma'am,
falling.
it will be elastic X1.
Yes, E is greater than 1. Okay. X2 is
Yes,
falling. That means P2 X2 is falling. That means M minus P2 X2 is increasing. So P1 X1 should increase. That means increase in P1 fall in P1 is decrease in X1, change in quantity. So the ratio is greater than 1. Okay. So here you can write elasticity of, this is obviously elasticity of commodity X1. This is greater than 1. Okay. What about the next diagram? This one. What about the next diagram? Consumption of X is falling. Look. Consumption of Y is increasing, but consumption of X is falling. How can you explain it? Not the XY. Okay, fine. X1 or Y1. X2. Consumption of X2 is increasing. Consumption of X2 is increasing, but consumption of X1 is falling. P1 is falling, X1 is falling. So we are very much sure that this commodity is Giffen good. Okay, this commodity is an Giffen good. But what about the elasticity? First of all, X1 is Giffen good now. Price is falling and quantity demanded is falling. So it's a violation of law of demand. Hmm. But what about the elasticity? Here X2 has increased. So P2X2 will increase. M minus P2X2 will fall. So P1 X1 should fall. P1 is falling, X1 is increasing. That means the change in price is greater than change in quantity. So the ratio is less than 1. So here also your demand is inelastic. Okay. It's an given good. It's a violation of law of demand. Yes.
ma'am, I didn't understand this part.
Okay. Look at this diagram. Here the price of X1 is falling. Rather, P1 is falling and X1 is also falling because the PCC is backward bending. Right? Right?
Yes, X1 is falling and X2 is increasing.
Yes. So as P1 is falling, is falling and X1 is falling. This is violation of law of demand.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a given good. X1 is a given good here. But what about the elasticity? We are telling about the elasticity. Now for the elasticity, we have to go here. X2 is increased. So P2X2 is increased. M minus P2X2 is falling. So P1 minus X1 should fall. Up to this point, is it A?
Yes.
X2 is falling. Sorry, X2 is increasing. So P2X2 is increasing. M minus P2X2 is falling. That means right hand side is falling. The left hand side should fall. What is left hand side? P1 X1. That should fall. Now of this, P1 is falling and X1 is also falling. Yes, here comes the problem. P1 is falling and X1 is also falling. Yes, we are not certain. Here, we are not certain about the elasticity, right? Here we are not certain about the elasticity because we don't know who is falling more.
Yes, ma'am.
From the diagram, it is not clear. So we are not certain about the elasticity, but we are very much certain that it is the violation of law of demand. Okay, that much is there.
Ma'am, if it's a Griffin good, it
Yes,
should be elastic.
it should be elastic. Why?
In Griffin good is uh, in any price it will be necessary. I mean to say
Yes,
that
Giffen good is
why the
in.
Griffin inelastic thing, and people will
Okay, so
consume
you
it
are
in
talking
any
in that.
price.
Yes, yes. If you explain in that way, then it's okay. Okay, we should accept it. That Giffen good means, Giffen, the example of Giffen good is for the necessary good. That was a staple food for them, right? So that was a necessary. And for necessary good, the demand elasticity is generally less than 1. So that is how you can say that here also the elasticity is less than 1. But from diagram, you cannot prove it.
Ma'am, what about the backward bending? I can't get that part.
What was?
Ma'am, in the graph, there is a term you said that backward bending, but I can't get that part. Can you explain
Oh,
it
backward
once?
bending. Okay, backward bending means like that. If the curve, okay, you have the axis like this. The curve is going like this, and suddenly it is like this. So this is called backward bending. All curves are moving in this direction, either this or this or this. Okay, but this curve or this particular curve is moving like this. So this is called backward bending.
So why the shape of the curve is backward bending in this context?
Oh, that is what I am explaining where you were. This is because it is the violation of law of demand for
Oh,
X1.
it's also for given good.
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, what will happen if one code is an inferior code?
No, inferior good case you cannot explain with the help of PCC. As I said, inferior good is something related with the income. So that you can explain with your ICC. Look, uh, here. This is how you can explain that Y is inferior because ICC is downward sloping.
Okay.
But with the help of PCC, you cannot explain that inferior part. You can explain whether it is maintaining law of demand or not, whether it is elastic or inelastic. So everything related with the price, nothing related with income.
Okay, ma'am.
But inferior we are explaining in terms of income. That is why from here you cannot find which one is inferior or not. Because everything here is related with the price.
Okay.
Okay?
So here everything is a normal code.
No? Who said?
Uh, means in
Only
these
here it is the
diagrams.
violation of law of demand. Okay, no. If it is the violation of law of demand, that means the given good. Given good is definitely the inferior good. Okay, but inferior good doesn't mean given good always. But how it is the violation of that income effect and all, from the diagram you cannot explain. You just explain logically that okay, it's the violation of law of demand. It's the given good. And we know that given good is an inferior good. So okay, this is inferior good. This is how you can explain, nothing more.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Now look at this. This is the last one. Here, X consumption is constant. Okay. Here X consumption is constant, it is unchanged. So then is it possible to explain the elasticity? Look, X2 is increased, but X1 is constant. So what happened? If X1 is constant, without watching your right hand side, you can explain it from this equation, right? There is no need to see what is happening with X2. If X1 is constant, that means there is no change in X, right? Now, in case of elasticity, if your numerator is unchanged, that means the numerator is 0. The change in quantity is 0. So 0 by something is 0. That means in this case, the elasticity is equal to 1. Elasticity of X1 is equal to 0. Okay, it is perfectly inelastic in nature. Okay, X1 is perfectly inelastic. Okay. Anyone have your syllabus now, so that you can check how much I left? Just a minute. Wait for a minute. I have. I couldn't find. Do you have it? I think that decomposition part is left, which I will discuss. This, anything else which left?
Ma'am, we have substitution effect and income effect left.
So this is here. Hessian substitution. Yes. So that I will do. Anything else?
Marshallian and compensate demand for.
Okay. This is also that I will also. And anything else? I don't think any such thing is left. I am abnormally speedy for unit 6.